This was such a good book. I wish I knew more about the author.
Ian, did you just say you want to thoroughly learn about Roald Dahl's entire life?
I don't know about entire...
Well, let me take you on a journey to this side of the room. Roald Dahl was born on September 13th, 1916 in Llandaff, Wales, but his parents were Norwegian. His older sister Astrid died when she was 7, and their father, being so distraught from her death, fell ill from pneumonia and died shortly after. He received his earliest education at Llandaff Cathedral School, where he was often caned for bad behavior. As a result, at 9 years old, his mother sent him to St. Peter's, a boarding school where he met Captain Hardcastle, the cane-wielding headmaster, serving as inspiration for Miss Trenchbull and his Matilda. At 13, he attended a public school in Derbyshire, where he was finally happy and great at sports but terrible at writing, according to his English master. The boys at school were even sometimes asked to be chocolate testers for a famous chocolate company, no doubt inspiring Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. He denied the opportunity to go to college and instead got a job at Shell Oil Company and was sent to Africa for 3 years. Although after his first year, the Second World War broke out, so he enlisted in the Royal Air Force and became a pilot. In 1940, he was posted to Libya, where he flew a Gloucester Gladiator plane. He crashed in the Western Desert in North Africa and suffered such severe injuries to his head and back that he had to stay in a hospital in Egypt for 6 months. In 1942, Roald was posted to Washington to work as an assistant air attaché. He met the author C.S. Forester, who suggested that Roald should write about his experiences flying planes in the desert. This led him to being paid for the first time for his writing, which was in the Sunday Evening Post newspaper. In 1951, Roald had a collection of stories published in a book called Someone Like You. During this year, he also married the actress Patricia Neal. They lived in Great Missenden in Buckinghamshire, England, where he wrote many of his famous stories. Roald Dahl and Patricia Neal had 5 children: Olivia, Tessa, Theo, Ophelia, and Lucy. Olivia tragically died at the age of 7 from measles and encephalitis. A year before that, Theo was involved in an accident. His pram was hit by a New York cab and he suffered a brain injury. Roald became very involved with the care that Theo now needed, and he even helped invent a piece of equipment that people with Theo's injury would need. During this time, James and the Giant Peach was published, which was Dahl's first book for children. Dahl started telling his fantastical stories to his children at bedtime, and he realized how much his own kids enjoyed his stories and decided to write them down for all kids to enjoy.
Okay, I don't think you need to keep going.
Some of his works include The Gremlins, James the Giant Peach, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Magic Figure, Mr. Fate, Mr. Fox, Charlie and the Great Glass Lover, Danny and Champion, Mother, Enormous Crackle, the Twits, George and Marvelous, the Medicine, the BFG, the Witches, Giraffe, Penny, Matilda, Issue, Tree, Victor News, the Min Pins, Joel, Chuck, Baltic Vibes, Berry Beast, Vibes Stew, Over to You, Sometimes Never, Someone Like You, Kiss Kiss, 29 Kisses from Roald, Switch, Wonderful Story of Friendship, The Best of Roald Dahl, Tales of the Minus Roald, More Tales of Ghost Stories, the Two Fables, So Sweet, Bishop, like the Gravities, The Bell Hall Treasure, Border Tales, Going Solo, Dangerous, Beasts, Virus, Safety, Great Mouse Plot. Okay, I think you get the idea. Roald Dahl had a great talent for seeing the world through children's eyes. He said, if you want to remember what it's like to live in a child's world, you've got to get down on your hands and knees and live like that for a week. You'll find that you have to look up at all these giants around you who are always telling you what to do and what not to do. He had a passion for encouraging children to read. He believed that kids should be comfortable with the book, not daunted. Books shouldn't be daunting, they should be funny, exciting, and wonderful, and learning to be a reader gives a terrific advantage. He wrote several scripts for movies like You Only Live Twice, the James Bond movie, and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. He also wrote tons of short stories that definitely aren't meant for kids, like Lamb to the Slaughter, Georgie Porgy, and I think I'm going to stop there.
Isn't there like a fun facts section and stuff like this?
Oh, sure. Fun facts about Roald Dahl. He wrote many of his stories in a shed at the bottom of his garden. He never learned how to type and preferred writing everything in an old red book. He invented over 250 new words like whiz-popping and humplecrimp, and there's even an official Oxford Roald Dahl dictionary. Many of his characters were based on real people in his life, like the little girl from the BFG was named after his granddaughter Sophie. He was 6'6". The peach was originally a cherry, and the BFG was his favorite story. So you may be thinking, he seems like a pretty nice guy.
Wasn't he misogynistic and sexist?
Oh, you knew that. Well, believe it or not, he was said to be misogynistic, sexist, racist, anti-Semitic, and a spy. Wow, Nikki, that is just so interesting. Please tell me more. Well, alright, if you insist. The Oompa Loompas in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory were originally African slaves that Wonka smuggled into England for their own good. In 1983, he announced in the New Statesman that Hitler had his reasons for the Holocaust, and his family finally apologized for it in 2020, 30 years after his death. Many of his children's works have been criticized for being disturbing. For example, in James and the Giant Peach, at the age of 4, his parents die by being eaten by a rhinoceros and is sent to live with his aunts who abuse and enslave him. He finally gets away from them when he runs the sisters over with the giant peach. The grasshopper states, "I'd rather be fried alive and eaten by a Mexican," and the word ass appears at least 3 times, as well as references to drugs and drinking. The book is banned in school districts in states like Texas, Wisconsin, Florida, Virginia, and Ohio. And I'm only talking about one of his books. The Witches has been criticized for the way he explains women, and his books have been edited to remove words that involve gender, weight, and appearance. And did I mention in 1983, Patricia Neal and Dahl divorced after his affair with their friend Felicity Crossland, a set designer whom Neal had met while shooting in an advert. She was particularly hurt that it had been going on for over a decade with their children's knowledge.
Oh my goodness, I'm gonna be sick. You said something about him being a spy, right?
Oh yeah, you know how I said he got into a bad plane crash that almost ended his life? Well, after months of recovery, he flew combat missions over Greece, but the crippling headaches and periodic blackouts made it too dangerous to fly and his wings were clipped. But around the time he published his first book, he was recruited as an undercover agent by the British Security Coordination, a covert espionage network established by Britain's M16 intelligence service to spy on its greatest ally, the United States. He formed connections with powerful guys, and in 1943 he spent a weekend with President FDR at his home in Hyde Park, New York, and submitted a 10-page report with his insights on the American leader. He would even sexually seduce the women in high DC society for information. Dahl passed along information in 1944 that the U.S. was planning to, quote-unquote, emancipate a large part of the British Empire after the conclusion of World War II, and not to mention the beginning of an effort to land a man on the moon.
Wow.
He died November 23, 1990, at the age of 74 from myelodysplastic syndrome, which caused an unknown infection. But he won a ton of awards, like 2 Edgar Allan Poe Awards, 3 Mystery Writers of America Awards, and World Fantasy Convention Lifetime Achievement Award for his work as a children's author.
Not all of his stories can be bad, though. Like, Lamb to the Slaughter doesn't actually have murder, right?
Ian, you might want to sit down for this one.
Oh, not again.